Dear listeners, a new day and a new story to discuss. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that interests me. Listen and write down what you think about this situation. I'm interested in your opinions. Welcome back, my friends, to another saga that's sure to tug at your heartstrings and perhaps mirror the shadows of your past. Today, I unveil a chapter of my life that I thought was sealed away in the archives of my heartache. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, because this ride, though bumpy, is one I promise you'll want to see through to the end. The evening was just like any other, or so I thought, as I settled into my favorite armchair, the one that had seen better days but still offered the kind of comfort only familiarity could. The house was unusually quiet, the kids were away at summer camp, and the silence was both a balm and a reminder of the emptiness that had become a constant companion in my life. Then, there was a knock at the door. Not expecting anyone, I hesitated, wondering if I should even bother. Curiosity won, as it often does, and I made my way to the door, the floorboards creaking underfoot, echoing the reluctance in my steps. I opened the door, and there she was. Sarah, my ex-wife, the woman who had turned my world upside down, then disappeared as if we were nothing but a bad dream. The sight of her took my breath away, but not in the way it used to. She looked broken, a shadow of the woman I once knew. "Michael," she whispered, her voice cracking, "can I come in?" Her eyes, red and swollen from crying, searched mine for something I wasn't sure I could give. Pity? Forgiveness? A second chance? I stepped aside, not trusting my voice, and motioned for her to enter. The moment she crossed the threshold, the floodgates opened. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. I was taken aback, the remnants of my anger battling with the instinct to protect, to comfort. It was a sensation I hadn't felt in years, and it left me reeling. "Why are you here, Sarah? After all this time?" I managed to ask, my voice steady but laced with a wariness born of too many betrayals. I didn't know where else to go," she stammered between sobs. "John, he left me, Michael. He left me, and I have nothing. I'm so sorry for everything. I was so wrong." Her words, meant to explain, only served to reopen wounds I thought had long since healed. The hurt, the betrayal, it all came rushing back, a tidal wave of pain that I had no defense against. "Sorry? You think sorry can just erase everything? You left me, Sarah, left our kids for him." My voice rose, the hurt turning to anger. "And now he's done the same to you? What did you expect?" I know, she cried, pulling away to look at me, desperation written all over her face. "I was a fool, Michael. I thought he loved me, but I was just convenient. And now, I have nothing. I've lost everything. You, the kids, my home. I've been so lost without you all." The raw honesty in her words struck a chord. Despite everything, the years of love and shared dreams couldn't be wiped away in an instant. But neither could the betrayal. "Sarah, I don't know what to say. You hurt us, deeply. The kids, they've been through so much because of this. I've been through so much. I know, and I will regret that for the rest of my life. I need help, Michael. Please. I have nowhere else to turn." Her plea hung in the air between us, a testament to the complex web of emotions that our shared history had woven. Anger, betrayal, love, and a sense of duty to the woman who once meant everything to me. "Sit down, Sarah. Let's talk." As we sat, the night stretched out before us, filled with confessions, tears, and the kind of heart-to-heart that only comes when everything else has been stripped away. It was brutal, painfully honest, and utterly necessary. The path forward was anything but clear, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, there was a glimmer of hope on the horizon. The conversation we had that night was just the beginning, a first step on a long road to, well, I wasn't sure where it would lead. But one thing was certain, it was a journey we would have to navigate together, however daunting that may be. The past has a way of creeping up on you when you least expect it, coloring your present with shades of memories best left forgotten. But here I am, about to unravel the yarn of a past so knotted, it's a wonder I ever managed to find my way through it. It all began on a cold, rainy night that felt more like a scene out of a gloomy novel than my life. The bar's neon sign flickered, casting an eerie glow on the wet pavement as I pushed the door open, the bell jangling loudly in the quiet. That's where I first saw her, Sarah, nursing a drink at the bar, her eyes lost in thought. "Rough night?" I asked, taking the stool next to hers, trying to sound more confident than I felt. She glanced at me, a half-smile playing on her lips. "Isn't it obvious? Join the club. Our conversation started as two strangers trying to drown their sorrows, but quickly delved into the kind of deep, soul-bearing talk that happens when you feel like you have nothing left to lose. I lost someone very dear to me, I confessed, the pain of my first wife's passing a sharp sting in my chest. It's like I'm just floating aimlessly. Sarah's hand found mine, her touch warm. I understand. More than you know. John, the man I thought I'd spend my life with, decided I wasn't enough. Left me chasing ghosts of what could have been. Our shared misery became the foundation of something more, a connection that felt like a lifeline in the storm we were both navigating. We leaned on each other, found joy in the midst of pain, and before I knew it, a year had passed, and Sarah was more than just a friend. She was my anchor. One evening, as we watched the sun dip below the horizon, she turned to me, her eyes reflecting the fiery skies. Michael, I don't want to face another day without you. Marry me. Her proposal caught me off guard. I had not anticipated moving from companionship to a lifelong commitment so soon. Yet, staring into her hopeful eyes, I realized I didn't want to lose her. Yes, I whispered, the word barely audible over the beating of my heart. Our wedding was a modest affair, just a few friends and the open sky above us. It felt right, despite the nagging voice in my head questioning my readiness. Sarah was eager to start anew, to leave her past with John behind. I wanted to be her haven, the proof that not all love ends in tragedy. We built a life together, traveled to places we'd only dreamed of, and welcomed two beautiful children into our world. Life with Sarah was like a second chance at happiness I never thought I'd get. But then, the past came knocking, uninvited and unwelcome. Michael, we need to talk, Sarah said one evening, her voice trembling. It was the first time in years I'd seen that look of uncertainty in her eyes. What is it? What's wrong? I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. It's John. He's back in town, and he wants to see me. The room spun around me as her words sunk in. Why? Why would you even consider seeing him after everything? I don't know, Michael. I thought I was over him, but now, I'm just so confused. The conversation that night was long and fraught with emotions. Accusations flew, tears were shed, and for the first time in our marriage, I felt the chasm between us widen into an abyss. Please, Michael, I just need to know if there's anything left there, for closure, she pleaded. And what if there is? What does that mean for us, for our family? I shot back, my voice raw with betrayal. Sarah had no answers, only more questions. And as she walked out the door to meet John, a part of me knew that the fragile world we'd built was about to come crashing down. That night marked the beginning of the end. The trust we'd taken years to build crumbled in the span of a few heartbeats. Sarah's quest for closure opened old wounds and new insecurities, and I was left to ponder the price of a second chance at love. As I sit here, reflecting on the tumultuous past that led us to this moment, I can't help but wonder if the happiness we shared was just a temporary reprieve from the inevitable. But one thing's for sure, the journey through our past, no matter how painful, has shaped the man I am today, standing at the crossroads of forgiveness and newfound hope. The days following Sarah's meeting with John were filled with a palpable tension, the kind that seeps into every corner of your home, making the air heavy with unspoken words and buried fears. It was like walking on a tightrope, knowing any moment could be the one that sends you plummeting into the abyss. One evening, as we sat at dinner, the kids chattering about their day, oblivious to the storm brewing between us, Sarah was unusually quiet, her fork pushing the food around her plate without really eating. Everything okay? I asked, trying to sound casual, but the concern in my voice was hard to mask. Sarah looked up, her eyes meeting mine, and in that moment, I saw a flicker of something I couldn't quite place. Was it guilt? Regret? Fear? Can we talk? After dinner, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The kids excused themselves, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, leaving us alone in the deafening silence of the dining room. What's going on, Sarah? You've been distant ever since you met with John. Talk to me, I urged, my heart racing with anticipation and dread. She took a deep breath, and the words that came next shattered the fragile piece of our life together. Michael, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say this, but I've made a terrible mistake. The room seemed to spin around me, her words echoing in my mind like a death knell. A mistake? What do you mean? My voice was calm, but inside, I was screaming. Sarah's eyes filled with tears, and she reached out for my hand, but I pulled away, the gesture feeling like a betrayal in itself. I saw John, and we talked about old times, and one thing led to another, and I was weak. Michael, I'm so sorry. The room went silent, The only sound was the clock ticking on the wall, marking the passage of time as my world crumbled around me. You were with him? The words tasted like poison on my tongue. Yes, she whispered, the shame evident in her voice. But it was a mistake. I love you, Michael. I love our family. I don't want to lose you. How could you do this to us, Sarah? To me? To our kids? Anger, hurt, betrayal. I felt it all, a raging storm within me. I don't know. I was confused. I thought I needed closure, but I was wrong. Please, Michael, can we find a way to get past this? Get past this? How, Sarah? How do we get past a betrayal like this? I don't know, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Therapy, counseling, anything. I don't want to throw away everything we've built together. The conversation went on, a torturous cycle of apologies, excuses, and pleas for forgiveness. But the damage was done. The trust we'd built over the years was shattered, leaving behind a gaping wound that seemed impossible to heal. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but wonder where we went wrong. How did we go from being each other's lifeline to this? The betrayal felt like a physical ache, a constant reminder of the fragility of happiness. The days that followed were a blur of arguments, tears, and endless discussions about our future. The house felt like a battleground, each conversation a minefield waiting to explode. Through it all, the question that haunted me was whether our love was strong enough to overcome this betrayal. Could we find our way back to each other? Or was this the beginning of the end? As I wrestled with my thoughts, the realization that the road ahead was uncertain was the only certainty I had. The betrayal had changed us, and whether we could rebuild from the ashes of our shattered trust was a question only time could answer. The air in our home had grown thick with the weight of unspoken words, each day a test of endurance. Sarah and I moved around each other like two planets in a decaying orbit, drawn together by the gravity of our shared history but repelling each other with the force of our recent betrayal. One evening, as the crimson hues of sunset bled through the living room windows, Sarah approached me, her posture hesitant but determined. The children were at a friend's house, leaving us in the kind of oppressive silence that demands confrontation. Michael, we need to talk. Really talk, she said, her voice steadier than her trembling hands. I paused the book I wasn't reading, its words blurring into insignificance compared to the story unfolding in my own life. Okay, Sarah. Talk. She took a deep breath, her eyes not meeting mine. I know I've broken something between us that might never be mended, but I can't stand this distance. It's killing me. Can we try? Can we try to find a way back to each other? Her plea hung between us, fragile and fraught with the pain of her betrayal. How, Sarah? How do we go back after what happened? I don't know, but maybe we can start with counseling? We could learn to communicate better, understand each other's hurt, and maybe find a way to forgive. The idea of sitting in a stranger's office, laying bare the wounds that Sarah's affair had inflicted, was both terrifying and oddly compelling. And what if I can't forgive? What if this is too deep a cut? Sarah finally met my gaze, her eyes a mirror of the torment I felt. Then at least we'll know we tried. I owe you that much, Michael. I owe our family. The conversation that night was the first of many, each a step on a treacherous path through anger, resentment, and sorrow. We argued, we cried, and, on rare occasions, we shared moments of tender recollection of the love that once seemed unbreakable. One particularly stormy evening, as rain lashed against the windows, our session took a turn. Do you still love him, Sarah? I asked, the question slipping out, fueled by a masochistic need to know. No, Michael. It was never about love with John. It was an escape, a mistake. My love is for you, for our family. But I understand if that's not enough anymore. Her admission, raw and honest, struck a chord. I want to believe you, Sarah. I do. But every time I look at you, I see him. I see the betrayal. I know, and I hate myself for that. I wish I could erase it, make you see me as the woman you married, not the one who hurt you so deeply. Our discussions, both with the counselor and alone, peeled back layers of pain and resentment, revealing the raw, bleeding heart of our marriage. Yet, with each layer removed, we found remnants of the love that had brought us together, battered but still beating. Can we ever get past this, Michael? Can we ever be happy again? Sarah asked one night, a vulnerability in her voice that echoed my own fears. I don't know, Sarah. I want to say yes, but I'm scared. Scared of being hurt again. Scared of losing what little we have left. The struggle within was a constant battle, a war between the heart and the mind. Forgiveness seemed like a distant shore, visible but ever out of reach. Yet, the journey towards it, arduous as it was, brought with it a glimmer of hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild from the ruins. Hope that love, however bruised, could guide us back to each other. And with each day, each conversation, each tearful admission, that hope flickered brighter, a beacon in the darkness of our shared pain. But the road was long and the outcome uncertain. The struggle within each of us waged on, a testament to the complexity of love and forgiveness. And as we navigated this uncertain path, the future remained unwritten, a story yet to be told. In the wake of devastation, the first sprouts of renewal often emerge, tender and uncertain against the backdrop of destruction. Our lives, so long shadowed by betrayal and pain, began to see these sprouts. But renewal is a delicate process, fraught with the dangers of past mistakes resurfacing like specters in the night. It was during one such fragile dawn of our new beginning that Sarah and I found ourselves walking the familiar paths of our local park, a place that had witnessed the spectrum of our relationship's history. The air was crisp, the leaves whispering tales of change with every gust of wind. "Michael, do you ever think about the future?" Sarah's voice broke the silence, her tone reflective, almost hesitant. I pondered her question, the future having been a concept I'd avoided, fearful of what it might or might not hold. "I do. Lately, more than before. I think about what it means for us, for you and me." She nodded, taking in my words with a seriousness that matched the moment. "I've been thinking about us, about how far we've come. I know we're trying to rebuild, to start anew, but there's something I feel we need to address." The seriousness in her voice set my nerves on edge, a familiar fear creeping in. "What is it, Sarah?" "It's about, well, it's about John," she confessed, the name dropping between us like a stone in still water. I felt a jolt of pain, an echo of the past too vivid to ignore. "John? Why? Why are we talking about him now?" Sarah stopped walking, turning to face me fully. "Because he reached out to me again. He's back in town, and he wants to meet." The ground beneath me might as well have opened up. "And what did you say?" I asked, my voice tight with barely contained emotion. "I haven't responded. I wanted to talk to you first. Michael, I have no interest in seeing him, but I thought maybe, if we confronted this together, it could be another step towards healing. A way to close that chapter, once and for all." Her suggestion took me by surprise, a mix of admiration for her honesty and a resurgence of old fears clashing within me. "You think facing him together is the answer?" "I do. I think it's a way for us to reclaim our power over the past, to show that we're united, that nothing can shake us again." The idea was radical, almost unthinkable, but as I looked into Sarah's eyes, I saw the determination and the love that had once drawn me to her. It was a gamble, but perhaps a necessary one. "Okay," I finally said, the word feeling like a leap into the unknown. "We'll do this together." The day we met John was overcast, the sky heavy with unshed rain, mirroring the tension between us. We chose a public place, a coffee shop where anonymity was guaranteed amongst the throng of faces. John was already there when we arrived, his presence pulling me back to a time I'd rather forget. He stood as we approached, his expression unreadable. "Sarah, Michael," he greeted, the familiarity of his voice grating. "John," Sarah acknowledged, her voice steady. "We're here because we want you to understand something very important." I watched her, admiration mingling with a protective instinct as she took the lead. "We've moved past what happened. We're rebuilding our lives, our marriage, and we won't allow you or anyone else to jeopardize that. This meeting, it's our way of saying goodbye to the past." John looked between us, and for a moment, I saw something like respect in his eyes. "I never meant to cause so much pain. I'm sorry for everything. Seeing you both now, united, it's clear to me how much I lost." His apology, though long overdue, was a balm to wounds I hadn't realized still ached. "Just stay out of our lives, John. For good this time," I found myself saying, the words firm but devoid of the bitterness I would have once felt. As we left the coffee shop, the rain finally began to fall, a cleansing downpour that seemed to wash away the remnants of our pain. Hand in hand, Sarah and I stepped into the rain, letting it envelop us in its cool embrace. "Michael, do you think we can really make it after all this?" Sarah asked, her voice barely audible over the rain. I squeezed her hand, a gesture of unity and strength. "Yes, Sarah, I do. We faced our past together and emerged stronger. There's nothing we can't overcome. Our path forward was still uncertain, the future a tapestry yet to be woven. But in that moment, under the cleansing rain, I believed in us, in our ability to rise from the ashes of our past and create something beautiful, something enduring. New beginnings are often born from the ashes of old flames, And as Sarah and I walked home, drenched but undaunted, I knew that our new beginning was just starting to take root. As the sun began its ascent, painting the sky with hues of gold and pink, Sarah and I found ourselves on the old wooden bridge that spanned the river near our home. This place, a silent witness to the ebb and flow of our lives, seemed the perfect setting for the conversation that loomed ahead, a conversation about our future, about the road ahead. "Michael," Sarah began, her voice breaking the tranquil dawn, "I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about what we've been through. It's like we've been given a second chance, don't you think?" I nodded, the early morning chill sending a shiver down my spine. "Yeah, I do. These past months have been a journey, one I never expected to take, especially not like this." She took a step closer, her hand finding mine. "But we're here, together. That has to mean something, right? That maybe, despite everything, we're meant to overcome this." Her words, filled with hope and uncertainty, echoed my own thoughts. "It does. But Sarah, there's something we need to address if we're truly going to move forward." "What is it?" Concern flickered in her eyes, a reflection of the vulnerability we both felt. "It's about trust, about rebuilding it from the ground up. It's not just about forgiveness, Sarah. It's about knowing, deep down, that we can rely on each other, no matter what." Sarah squeezed my hand, her resolve clear in her gaze. "I know, and I'm committed to that, Michael. To us. To proving to you, every day, that I'm here for the long haul." The sincerity in her voice stirred something within me, a flicker of hope amidst the remnants of our battered past. And I need to do the same. I need to let go of the fear that's been holding me back, the fear of being hurt again. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves around us, a reminder of the world moving forward, indifferent to the struggles of two souls seeking redemption. "Michael, I want us to start thinking about the future, about what we want it to look like. Not just surviving, but thriving." "Together," Sarah said, her words painting a picture of a life I'd almost forgotten could exist. The notion of looking forward instead of back was both daunting and exhilarating. "I want that too. But it's going to take work, Sarah. Hard, painful work. Are we ready for that?" She nodded, determination etched into her features. "More than ready, I think. I think we should consider renewing our vows. Not as a way to erase the past, but to affirm our commitment to the future, to each other." The idea took me by surprise, a symbol of renewal I hadn't considered. Renewing our vows. Yeah, I like that. It feels like a declaration, doesn't it? A way to say to the world, and to ourselves, that we're in this, fully and completely. Sarah's smile in response was like the sunrise itself, bright and full of promise. "Exactly. Let's do it, Michael. Let's start planning for a future that's ours, defined by us and no one else." As we stood there, on that bridge between our past and future, I felt a weight lifting. The road ahead would be long and undoubtedly challenging, but for the first time in a long time, it seemed possible. "Sarah, whatever comes, I want you to know. I'm here. I'm with you. We've climbed out of the darkness together, and now let's walk into the light." Her eyes welled with tears, a mirror of my own emotions. "I couldn't imagine taking this journey with anyone else, Michael. I love you, more than I ever thought possible. I love you too, Sarah. Here's to the road ahead, to new beginnings, and to us." As we turned to leave the bridge, hand in hand, the sun crested the horizon, bathing us in its warm glow. The day ahead, like our future, was filled with unknowns, but for the first time, the path forward seemed illuminated by hope, by the promise of new beginnings forged in the crucible of our shared pain and love. The road ahead was ours to travel, a journey of healing, discovery, and rebirth. And as we stepped forward into the dawning day, I knew that whatever challenges we might face, we would meet them together, stronger and more united than ever before.